Hi, we are live here. This is Eric from the Long Box Review podcast, and I have joining me yet again to talk about breaking late news in the comic book world is my good friend Travis. Hey, Travis.
Hey,
How you doing today?
good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, yeah. How was your comic book roundtable show last night?
It was good. We talked for a long time about books that I didn't think we were going to talk a long time about. It's always interesting when that happens, when the
Yeah.
conversation goes somewhere that you don't necessarily expect it to, and that's why I like doing conversations with actually other people, because then that happens. Whereas
Mhm.
if it's just me talking, I mean, I have it planned and I don't typically get off track too far and whatnot, and
Right.
makes for longer shows, but I'm okay with that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and speaking of longer shows, I don't know how long this one will be, but if our last news episode, which was, oh gosh, what episode was that? 132 in my podcast feed. So just so everyone knows, this is Travis and I are talking live on Sunday, April 8th, 2018. But I primarily do a podcast at longboxreview.com where people can find it. And so this video version of what we're going to talk about will be on the audio feed later this week. So people can jump over there and listen to that if they prefer their comic book discussion talk in the audio format, which is my preferred method. But this way, in the video, I get to see my good buddy here in the chat or in the video feed, and we get to interact with each other exactly like Travis was talking about on his show, which is on YouTube, and he does a weekly, usually on Saturday nights, right?
yep.
Weekly comic book roundtable, and then you also do a bunch of solo videos as well, talking about the comics that you read.
Mm-hmm.
So people should go check out Travis's channel if they have not already. And Travis, when are you going to convert over to an audio feed for your channel? Because that seems to be the big thing right now. We have a couple other YouTube friends that have recently started an audio only podcast.
That sounds like work, though. See, I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I don't see that happening. Just because like I said, I see that as being work. Not that sometimes this isn't, but this is where I started, so this is where I am.
What do you mean? What do you mean this is work?
Exactly. You turn this off, we're done. There's nothing else we have to do.
Well, that's very true.
Right. Whereas now you're gonna have to convert it to whatever, and
it's easy.
And
it's easy, my friend. It's very easy.
Do you want me to go hunt down the tweets of you moaning and groaning about the hours worth of having to edit this stuff?
I know, right? I'm trying to get better about that.
Yeah.
And because I mentioned, I just wanted to include a shout out to our friends Matt and Damien, who started the Never Stay Dead podcast, which I have been loving. I think they've only released 2 episodes so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, it's an audio only podcast, so people watching this on YouTube need to go subscribe to their audio feed, because they have some really interesting discussions so far, and I'm sure they'll have many other good discussions to come. And then Matt also is working with another person whose name I've forgotten, but this is the Untold Talks of Spider-Man, and I know Matt is a huge Spider-Man fan, and so it makes sense that he's doing this podcast there. So but yeah, people should go check out those new shows of our friends there, and tell them that Longbox Review and Oddfellows Thoughts sent you. Okay, but
they'll say who?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Who are these guys? But we are here to talk about stuff. Our monthly now, Travis. This is the second time we've done this in a row, and as my boss says, 2 times is a trend. So we're trending.
Awesome.
Yeah. But we we are here to talk about some comic book news. I have a long list of things that I threw in Travis's face 5 minutes before we press the record button, which is usually the case. I try to surprise Travis as much as possible with the things that I'm going to talk about. And so I guess we will just run down the list. We'll talk about these things, and mostly I do this not to inform anybody. Really, mostly I do it to get to find out what Travis is going to say about these things. So these are roughly in order, so to speak, and we'll just run down these things. And Travis, if there's anything else that is not currently on the list that you want to throw in there, please do so.
Sure. We
also have a live chat situation going on here. So if people are currently watching this broadcast as we are broadcasting live, they can throw their questions and comments in the chat box, and I will do my best to address those. And otherwise, shall we get started, Travis?
Yep, I'm ready.
Excellent. So the very first thing I had on my list, since the last time that we talked about a month ago, was there's a new Plastic Man miniseries by Gail Simone and what's the Adirana Mello? Boy, I hope I typed that correctly. Anyway, this is the reason I bring this up. There's two things. One is because Plastic Man is currently in the Terrifics series, which I will have an episode out about issue number 1 shortly after this one goes into the feed. But what I found interesting was that this is not connected to the Terrifics series. And of course, the fact that it's written by Gail Simone. So I don't know. What do you think about? Well, first of all, Travis, where does Plastic Man fit in your love of comics? You know, is he like a favorite character of yours? Is he like me, not so much a favorite?
I don't dislike Plastic Man. He's amusing, but does he add actual value to the real DC universe? I'm air quoting. I don't know. I don't know that he does. So for me, it's kind of like Bizarro, in that they're fun. You can have fun with them, but sometimes hard to take what is produced with those characters as anything, serious, I guess. So I'm actually looking forward to the series because I'm assuming it's just kind of be its own, off in its own, corner of the world, doing its own thing, and I think it'd be fun with Gail, with Gail writing it and whatnot. If it's like, I guess I'm thinking of, it's like Bizarro as an example, the during the DCU little snippet they went for a while there was a 6-issue miniseries with Bizarro that was clearly just meant to be a fun comic book, and
so not tied to continuity of whatever's going on in the general universe. Yeah,
exactly. It's just doing its own. It's just its own fun book, and I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. That I'm looking forward to it because I'm all for having some fun books to read, some books to laugh about. I am curious though if it's going to be fun, but at the same time, Simone is going to lace it with social commentary, because the little bit of ad that seemed to be in it, the editorial pitch for it or whatever, had something in it that made it sound like that potentially might be the case.
Which is really interesting because Plastic Man is never, well, I shouldn't say this because I am not well versed in Plastic Man. Really, what I know of the character comes from the cartoons.
I love him in the cartoons, though.
Oh, what? No, no. Especially when they did what was it, Plastic Man and Son cartoon, that later series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See, that's the prime example of never bring in kid characters. So Plastic Man's son, I'm thinking of Scrappy Doo, cousin Oliver, That's a shout out to George and Tony, George from the George and Tony Entertainment Show. Things like that. It's just like kids seem to ruin everything.
They do.
I say this, and I'm a proud father of and grandfather of some lovely, lovely children. So I do love you guys, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, it's really interesting that they're doing that, because, like I said, the whole point of where I was going with this before I got off on that tangent is I never thought of Plastic Man as an avenue for social commentary. Unlike, like, say, Superman, especially in the Golden Age, when he was a champion of the downtrodden and the oppressed, and things like that. And so maybe Plastic Man has that in his history. I don't know. What do you have a better understanding of that, or?
No, I mean, quite frankly, it seems to me I can recall Plastic Man being a little bit on the skeezy side as far as hitting on the ladies and that sort of stuff. But comedy is a good way to have
that's true
social commentary, and Gale certainly has a history of using comedy to kind of poke at that stuff.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that I think the potential is easily there to do that. So
yeah. All you have to do is look at Gail Simone's Secret Six run to know how well she blends comedic moments with social commentary, and very effectively. That's one of those series that I owe to Travis in terms of letting me know it was such a great series, and as soon as I started reading it as well, I quickly realized that it was one of the best series, I think, probably of the last 20 years, maybe. I've been throwing that phrase around a lot. I just the other day I tweeted out how the Mighty Thor, or the Jason Aaron run on Thor, through the various books that he's written the characters in, has been one of the best Marvel stories of the last 20 years. So, and we have watching here and in the chat, we have our friend Damien that we were talking about earlier, and he mentions that the present day Plastic Man is always overshadowed by his Golden Age run with the amazingly creative wackiness of Jack Cole. And see, that's I'm just woefully inadequate in terms of that old stuff. I know it's revered by a lot of people, especially when referring to Jack Cole's work on it. I just haven't read it because Plastic Man is not a character that I care for. And I think, Travis, and I'm spending way too much time talking about Plastic Man for a character I don't particularly like, but I think it's because of that stupid cartoon. That cartoon ruined that character for me, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then I'll remember, speaking about more cartoons, the DC Nation shorts that they did with Plastic Man. I never liked it.
See, I like those.
This is why,
I like him in The Brave and the Bold. Where he's Batman's.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
Fun.
Those were fun. I'll agree with that. Yeah, but this is why I like to have Travis on, because he and I have sometimes polar opposite views of things, but we still manage to remain friends after, oh my God, Travis, 30-something years.
Old, yes.
Yeah. Damien also adds that Cole was nearly in a league with Will Eisner, in his opinion. Obviously, I need to read more of Jack Cole's work.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's what I was thinking too.
Maybe I'll have to go find one of those Plastic Man. What are those old archive editions or something? I don't remember. I remember DC having those hardbound, those nicely bound hardcover editions of their certain runs of comics. Do you remember the name of those, Travis?
I don't. I actually own a few, but I have them right on hand.
See, they're like 10 feet away, and I can't. With my glasses, I can't see what they are. I have a few too, but not Plastic Man. Anyway, enough Plastic Man. That's a new mini.
It is curious though. It is curious though that suddenly Plastic Man is showing up in two places at the same time. So somebody somewhere in editorial must like Plastic Man.
Exactly. Or, maybe there's something else coming up, maybe in some other media involving Plastic Man, and they're trying to, I don't know, gear up for it, or I don't know what.
Live action Plastic Man. Huh?
Oh my God. The special effects budget on that would be horrendous, I would think, given what they show of Plastic Man in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, last thing on Plastic Man before we move on. I do talk a lot about some of this stuff that I brought up here with Travis in my Terrifics #1 talk that I'll have in the feed later. So plug, I guess. Anyway, from one new miniseries to a new series, I just wanted to mention because here's a character I actually do really like in the DC universe, and that's Hawkman. And so they're bringing back Hawkman in a comic written by Robert Venditti and artist Brian Hitch. And I don't know, Travis doesn't read Green Lantern comics, so he's not familiar with Robert Venditti's work there. I don't know if you're familiar with his work elsewhere, Travis.
Well, I've read, because he's currently writing, isn't he currently writing Hal Jordan?
Yes.
So I've read the first, I don't know, 15
really?
issues or so of.
This is news to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because when the whole Rebirth stuff came, I got everything to start out with. So I did read it. I did read it for a while. I hate Hal Jordan, so
right, exactly. I was just gonna inform the viewers and listeners here that Travis is not the biggest fan of Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. I know you like Green Lantern, the concept, right?
Yeah, and I like Stewart. So I read the book for a while because Stewart was part of that. So
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Brian Hitch, that's a pretty big name, in terms of artists that could work on comics. So I actually am looking forward to this. Two talents that I happen to like quite a bit on a character that I like a lot.
So do you like where Hawkman is kind of like right now? How they've used him in like miniseries, The Hawkman is Dead. Did you read that?
I didn't. I did not.
Okay.
Did you read that?
Yes.
Not good. I take it from your reaction.
Yeah, I didn't think it added any value to anything and whatnot.
Well, and that's kind of why
very one-dimensional character, and yeah.
Well, the whole New 52 version of Hawkman was very disappointing.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was asking. Are they going to take him back to maybe what he was before?
I'm guessing I bet it's more akin to what Jeff Johns did with the character in the JSA and the titular comic itself, that run. I'm hoping anyway. And I know you did not read Dark Knight's Metal, right?
No, I didn't read any of that. That was my other question. Is it gonna be the whatever that was spinning out of that? Since how?
Yeah, I think the character did play a pivotal role, so to speak. Not quite, but he had a role in the series, and I'm sure that this new series will be spinning out of that. Just much like the New Age of Heroes books that spun out of the Dark Knight's Metal event. So to speak. I don't really think of it as an event. But technically it is. It just does. I don't know. It just didn't have the same feel as other event books that we've had in the past. But
well, it's starting to have the effect because the Dark Metal stuff is leaking over into the rest of the DC universe.
True. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. All right. I'm
not getting it.
You're not gonna get the new Hawkman?
No, because I haven't enjoyed Hawkman for what? Now, how many years? Yeah.
Did you read the Jeff Johns book?
Bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
And that was fine. I don't dislike the character, but I haven't liked the character portrayal and some of the stuff they've done with him for quite some time.
So what is your?
I guess I would need to read something in advance of it to give me an indication that they're doing something different with him than what's been done in the last 10 years or whatever since New 52. I need something that tells me they're doing something different. Otherwise, he's a meathead, and I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy most
Yeah.
meathead comics. I don't.
Yeah, I obviously hope that they'll go back to an earlier portrayal of the character, and then take him forward in some other way that hopefully they haven't explored yet.
Right.
But so I'm hopeful, and like I said, Venditti's done an awesome job on Green Lantern and other books that I've read that he's written, and Hitch, I like his work well enough. It's very cinematic and superhero-y. So, I imagine it'll be a good looking book. So I'm looking forward to it. And Damien adds, "Ooh, this is interesting, Travis. I want Hawkman as a Young Animals book, not a New Age of Heroes type thing." Young Animals Hawkman. I don't know. What does that mean exactly? What do you think that means? Young Animals type.
To me, it means they're really going to take it off in a different direction and not be 4-color superhero, but they're going to explore, some oddity about it. Is how I see it, because that's how I see most of the Young Animal books being. I mean, even the one that's the closest to being a superhero book, which is Mother Panic. That's the closest one to being your standard superhero book, and even it kind of puts itself off in a corner, being kind of an oddity of sorts. And the other books, definitely do so. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it seems to be the equivalent of taking, in some cases, taking some standard DC property and making it old Vertigo without putting it back in the Vertigo line, because of course they took all that stuff out of the Vertigo line. That's what Young Animals is.
It's funny you say that, because Damien added a Vertigo-ish literary take on a character. Yeah. See,
right. I'm totally and for me, I'd read the entire DC universe addressed that way.
Oh my!
To be quite honest,
Travis, you are the next imprint visionary. That's it. I would buy everything like that.
Same here. Yes. So,
oh my God, we should.
That is not what Hawkman will be.
No,
I will bet. I will bet money. I will bet real money on that.
We need to have a discussion later and drop a pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll go for that. Okay. Next up, continuing the new theme of the news so far, there was an announcement of a New Gods DC New Gods movie. Can you dig it, baby?
Yes, I can. But wow,
that I would never have imagined that DC would entertain doing a New Gods movie
with a director.
Right. Right. But although, they attach directors to these things all the time, and then 4 months later, the director's off for creative differences all the time.
Right.
So,
well, I think it's just curious that they named the lady who did, oh God, could have one of those mornings where I can't, Wrinkle in Time, that just directed Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very interesting.
So I'm going to watch it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I don't, for me, it doesn't matter what kind of train wreck it is. I'll be there opening weekend, probably. Well, yeah, I just have a hard time grasping what is a New God movie gonna look like. I mean, because look is important. I mean, and then what's the story going to be? It's
well, okay. So here's my hot take on it is that, if let's assume this, we're assuming a lot here.
It's all the dark side stuff. Right?
They're going to do a New Gods movie after the next Justice League movie that deals with dark side. So maybe this is the New Gods dealing with the power vacuum that is left after the Justice League defeats Darkseid.
Mm.
And so then the focus isn't on Darkseid, it's on all these other wonderful characters that are part of the New God universe.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
that's a lot. That's a lot. There's a lot there.
So obviously the quote unquote hero of the story is either going to be Orion and or Mr. Miracle. And if they're smart, they'll focus on Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. Make it a love story among this the horribleness of Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
The movie writes itself, Travis.
Other than, yes, it does for those of us who are fans. I don't know if it does it.
Right.
I just think that because I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time grasping what it's going to be like because just with Mr. Miracle, the comic book being so popular right now, and the people that are reading it and going, I don't know who these people are. I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot there to take in as a moviegoer who does not read comics. I don't know.
Oh, right. Well, exactly. I mean, that plays into the whole idea of a New Gods movie, really, because they're not recognizable characters from the main DC pantheon, right?
Right.
So
I mean, yeah.
But then again, they did Suicide Squad early on in the their run of Warner Brothers / DC movies. So mostly I think Warner Brothers is just kind of grasping at straws because their direction.
That's still a weird straw to grasp at. Other than your idea, the fact is they've already kind of floated, Darkseid being out there and what's that gonna,
yeah. Damien mentions that New Gods needs to be an HBO series in his opinion, which I would care.
That's my opinion on most comic book stuff, that it needs to be serialized as opposed to
Exactly. Yeah, we don't read one shots or a series of one shots. We read serialized comic books. Mm-hmm. And what better way to adapt those than in a serialized form, such as on television?
Well, because then you could get to all the nuance that you need to get to.
Exactly.
To make any of that stuff good.
Yeah. Which is why I prefer TV series over films, a film series any day. Mm-hmm. And I will add before we move on, Travis, that Damien likes my idea. So, maybe I should move to Hollywood. And
there you go. Good luck there.
Yeah, these ideas are the best I could do. So don't ask me to do anything else. All right. Last bit of, I think, last bit of, oh wait, no, we have another TV thing I want to bring up. It's way down the list, but I'll just throw it in here. Well, movie thing first, and then the TV, since we're all talking about this. I just read last night, Travis, that Black Panther, the movie Black Panther, is the third highest grossing film ever.
Yep.
Ever. Yeah. It's amazing. Black Panther, a superhero movie, being in the top 5 of grossest movies. Grossest. I don't know where I was going with that. Highest grossing movies ever. It's just amazing to me, and the fact that it's Black Panther, which is, that's such a phenomenal movie. You've seen that, right?
Oh yeah, I was there opening night. Yeah,
right.
Or Thursday or whatever. Yeah,
I had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks, but wonderful movie. Great, one of the best superhero movies I think of all time so far. And so I just think it's amazing that this movie is the third highest grossing one. And I mean, it's only beat out by Avatar, which is number 2, and the juggernaut the continuing juggernaut that is Star Wars, in particular The Force Awakens, which, I think we could have guessed that. And of course, there is speculation that the next Avengers movie will surpass Black Panther. I don't know. I don't really care which one flip flops or whatever and all that stuff. It's just I love the idea that Black Panther is the third highest grossing movie ever.
Right.
For a movie which I know some people out there, I don't know, disparaged it for, essentially racist reasons, screw you guys. That was a good movie, and it deserves the accolades, and it deserves the level that the heights that it's reached. So anyway, all right, and then I think finally on TV movie stuff. So I told Travis about this last week or so, how on the CW Seed, there's a series of short cartoons starring Constantine, and not just the character Constantine, but Max Ryan, who played the character in the live action series 2 years ago, something
It's
like
been
that.
at least 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, they brought him back to do the voice on this,
Right.
and the cartoon. Have you watched it?
I have not yet.
Oh, Travis, dude, you need to go watch it. I know you'll love it. It's very much in the vein of the series, but also it's like a comic book come to life, a 4-color comic come to life in that animated series. It's really well done. I really enjoyed it, and there, I mean, the CW Seed has other shows, Vixen,
Right.
and oh gosh, what the Ray? Is it the Ray or is it Freedom Fighters? I think they're calling it Freedom Fighters.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you get the Earth
I
X
love the Freedom Fighters.
characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're the CW, or I guess it's called the Arrowverse, right?
Right.
It's those interpretations, but
Okay.
but you get Phantom Lady, you get Red Tornado.
Mm.
What's the
You get
black
Doll Man in there?
Dom? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Was it Black Eagle, Black Hawk? I
Black
forget.
Condor.
Black Condor. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was getting all
Nice.
my flying black named characters mixed up. But yeah, they're really good. People should go check those out, and they're free. You don't have to have a subscription or anything. It's on the CW Seed app. If you have like I have a Roku, and so I just download the app. You could get the CW Seed app on your phone or tablet. Anyway, I highly recommend going and watching these. Really good, the series. And then on top of that, more Constantine news is that Max Ryan's coming back as the live action character on the new season of Legends of Tomorrow.
Right. He's a regular cast member. I mean, because he's been on, but he's going to be a regular cast member. Yeah.
Right. But he's joining and of course it's renewed for a new season, which apparently that was not a no-brainer idea, I guess. So I'm not sure. I actually don't I don't watch that series. I'm not caught up on it. I think last fall I started watching it for the episodes that are on Netflix, and so I started watching it from the beginning, and I'm slowly working my way up. And I enjoy the show. I'm not, as Travis knows, I'm not a huge fan of the Arrowverse shows,
Right.
so I don't keep up on them as much as I should. Which it kills me to say these things, Travis, because when we were kids, and I'm sure I've talked about this before. But when we were kids, we always wanted to see these comic books come to life in some fashion. And
now there's one on every week.
Yeah,
almost every
night. Yeah,
yeah.
I can't keep up with it. I can't do it. Plus, I just don't care for some of the portrayals of these characters. Green Arrow, the chief among them.
I think they're all fun, but to be quite honest, I don't keep up with watching them either. There's no way. There's too many.
But with Max Ryan coming back, that it is Max Ryan, right? For some reason, that's the name that's coming to my brain. But I hope I'm saying the right actor's name. Anyway,
right.
With Constantine coming to Legends of Tomorrow, I may just start tuning in more regularly.
Right.
So
yeah, the only show that I'm keeping up with is Black Lightning. I do watch it on the night it's out.
I haven't watched it.
It's excellent.
That's what I hear.
It's not CW. I mean, it's on CW only because they produced it for somebody else, and then at the last moment, Fox decided they didn't want it, and so CW picked it up. But it does not have the CW. It's Matt Ryan.
Yes, it was just confirmed too.
Comic Girl is just we got the Ryan part right. So in the end. But it's a great show. The Black Lightning show is a great show.
Good.
Excellent score. The soundtrack that goes along with the show is excellent. It's just all around good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I say I want to keep up with it, but quite honestly, I no longer have cable or satellite, and I don't have access to that channel,
Mm.
and I can't get it over the air with the antenna that I have. So
Right.
I probably will still have to wait.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, but anyway, okay. Let's move on. So since the last time that you and I talked, Travis, there have been two major cons
Right.
that have some news, not a lot of news coming out of these cons. The first one was WonderCon that happened a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks
at the
ago.
time of
Mhm.
this?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so the big news coming out of that for me, because I actually watched the DC panel coverage. I've got dogs coming into the room when I thought I had shut the door. So we're trying to get the dogs out of here in case they bark. So anyway, just grab them. Go ahead and grab them and take them, please. Thank you. Thanks, Madison. Oh, live streaming. It's so much fun sometimes. Thanks, sweetie. So where was I going with? Oh, WonderCon. So yes, thank you. All right, now we get back to the show. I'm leaving it in, Travis. I'm leaving it in. Okay.
I don't believe it.
The WonderCon. I watched the DC panel on for WonderCon because Sci-Fi Wire was broadcasting those things live.
Mm-hmm.
Much of those things actually were like media guests, the actors and whatnot.
Right.
But they also did a few of the comics panels, and the DC one was one of them. They're also doing Sci-Fi Wire. I just stupid me, I forgot to check before, but they are also broadcasting stuff from C2E2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched a little bit of that last night before I went to bed. But anyway, which I think is really cool that someone's picked up that ball and is providing that content for free, even if it's not all the stuff that maybe we are interested in. But
it's not always comic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the DC panel was one of those from WonderCon, and the big news coming out of that is that the Justice League line in DC Comics is expanding, which there's something interesting about that I want to get to, but just to continue the announcement. So this again, Travis, this is coming out of Dark Knight's Metal, sort of. Scott Snyder is going to kind of lead the effort on the Justice League line. And so he's going to be writing the new Justice League book. And then there are other Justice League teams. So they're going to be revisiting Justice League Dark with Wonder Woman leading that team.
Yes.
And so this is the essentially the magical heroes or characters, much like the old Justice League Dark from the New 52 line was about. And then they're also doing a Justice League Odyssey, which is the Justice League in space characters, which features Darkseid as a cast member, or a cast member, a character in the lineup.
Yeah, and my understanding is they're flying around in a hollowed out Brainiac head with flames painted on it.
Because Lobo is part of this, right? If I remember correctly, that sounds like a Lobo thing.
I don't know. I mean, it's got Cyborg and Starfire and Darkseid. I don't remember who else is in it, so I'll be checking it out.
Yeah. Well, so what do you think in general of this whole? Well, okay, let back up for a second, because Snyder's Justice League is essentially the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited characters, the cartoon series. And for people watching the video, you can see in the background here, I've got my my screen up, and you can see the old Justice League universe, or not universe, just the Justice League characters in the background there. So I'm a big fan of that. That's I think one of the best, not only cartoon series, but best superhero depictions of these characters I've ever seen. And so he's getting that team back together, essentially, with Jon Stewart coming back as Green Lantern. There is she Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman in this incarnation? I don't know. I think it's Hawkwoman.
Yeah.
And then some of the Martian Manhunter, John Jones, yeah, which is great because John Jones has been a character that's been missing far too long in the DC universe since New 52 launched. I know he was around in one of the Justice League books, or not Justice League books. What was that book, Travis? It was one of the Jim Lee stuff.
No, it was
universe stuff.
No, he was in
wow, I'm blanking on it.
Forever Evil is the last actual Justice League book he was in, was the Forever Evil, that whole during that time. And then he had his own
Stormwatch. I'm thinking of Stormwatch.
Oh, right. Okay, you're right. Yeah, he was in Stormwatch briefly, and then just a while ago, Williamson wrote a I think it's Williamson. The person who's writing Suicide Squad right now wrote that 8 or 12 issue run of Martian Manhunter. That's a couple of years.
Oh, the miniseries, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
And so after that, I was hoping that we'd see John Jones in more stuff, and we really didn't.
Right.
He would show up in quick panels here and there, but nothing really substantial. And so I'm really glad because he's one of my favorite characters in the DC universe.
I like the makeup. I'm excited for the makeup of the team. To me, it's a great cast of characters. I think it's interesting. They're putting the Hall of Justice back in the DC universe. Here's my thing though, and Scott Snyder is great. But and this is where social media is a problem for me, in that he has this sales pitch.
Just the one problem you have with social media.
Yeah, just the one, right? He has this sales pitch that he does, and it's the same sales pitch for whatever the next thing he's doing. It's the next greatest, most epic thing that's ever been, produced ever. And I'm at the point now where that sales pitch actually puts me off of the books. It's like, just talk about the book. Don't need this other thing. I mean, great if you're genuinely excited about it, but because you're given the same sales pitch you do for everything, it doesn't seem genuine to me anymore. So I have concerns that it is going to be the Batman and the other characters book is that it's going to be. It's going to be Batman and his super friends is what the Justice League book's going to be. I have concerns about that. That Snyder cannot let go of Batman. He can't walk away and just actually do something else that's not Batman.
Right.
And I don't want to see the Justice League through Batman's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an interest in that. And don't get me wrong, I love Batman, but I don't need to see that. I don't want to see that. I'll be curious to see how he does a team book, because a team book is a completely different kind of a beast than a single character book is. And I think it's gonna be unfortunate if the book ends up being the Justice League through Batman's eyes.
Yeah.
I just think that's whether he's the boss of the Justice League or not, the book shouldn't be told through his eyes, I don't think.
There shouldn't be a Batman book guest starring Superman, Wonder Woman, and the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have the same misgivings that you do, Travis, especially because where Snyder has written the Justice League characters in the Batman books, I don't always care for his interpretation of the characters.
Right.
So yeah, so that'd be interesting.
So I'm going to get it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm always prone to pick up Justice League books, but I'm not head over heels over that one. I'm more excited about the Justice League Dark one, because it's all the Magic characters, and
I knew you would be
huge fan of the DC Magic characters, but I'm not always the biggest fan of Tiny and the Fourth's writing.
Yeah.
So, Wonder Woman leading it, I'm excited about that too. That'll be really curious. I'm happy they put her in with that group of people and whatnot. I'm a bit bummed out that they put Constantine in it. I just do not think that he jives well ever with the costume heroes. To me, it's bothersome. I know that means they're immediately going to, make the whole Zatanna and Constantine relationship thing. I don't like that either. I don't like them as a couple or having been a couple. To me, that bogs down a story that I don't want to see. I'm not interested in that part of it, but otherwise super excited. I think Detective Chimp's in it. I'm looking forward to seeing Dr. Colt and all those other people, them throw all those other people in there and whatnot. So.
Yeah. Just to catch up on some of the comments we have here, Travis. See, Damien says, wait, are they reforming Darkseid? He says he's against that if that's the plan. And then you said Jen, right?
Yep.
Jen says, how old is Darkseid in it? Is it the teenage one? And so, so
there's a teenager.
Damien says that, Darkseid was reborn and has been in the Wonder Woman story recently. And so maybe they're aging him to teenage years. So Jen says, I read an article on Screen Rant, I guess, about something about him being a teenager now, or they were going to explore that or something of that nature. To which Damien replies, next, Satan, the preschool years. Wink. So yeah, I don't, when they, I don't know. It's interesting what they're doing with Darkseid these days. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not reading the Wonder Woman book, so I don't know what's going on there.
I dropped that too.
The fact that they defeated Darkseid but he's reborn. I don't know. It's weird that Darkseid isn't the presence that he normally is, but it's serialized fiction, right? So they're trying new things. And I'm not saying we should go back to the same old. It's just that it's a weird situation, and they need to do it. the comic book fans mantra of they need to do it right. Whatever that means.
They need to do it my way. That's the right way. Yes. Yeah.
But so it'd be interesting to see mostly, I read a lot of superhero books nowadays because I'm more interested in the character interactions and the dynamics between the characters than I am really about where they're going with the plot.
Right. It's characterization. That's what's important.
Yeah. And unfortunately, too often the plot tends to take over the characterization.
For sure.
And then, to me, the books are not as good for that reason. So anyway, I think I also heard, is it one of these books? I think I read, and I don't remember which one it is now, but isn't Dick Grayson, Nightwing, going to be in charge of one of them? I forget now. Am I totally off my rocker on that one?
I don't remember seeing that.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of two different things and conflating them in my little brain. Anyway, so but one final thought on this: the WonderCon video that I watched with Snyder. Given what you just said about Snyder and his Carnival Barker-ishness.
Mm-hmm.
Making up words as I go here. He was really excited though about this, and I, whenever I watch these writers and artists get in front of a crowd and talk about their work, and if they're really excited about it, I get excited about it.
Yep, same.
And his enthusiasm was infectious, and so I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going with this. But they'll be on a short leash.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford all these comics.
Well, yeah, that's right. Three books. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. So from DC, new DC team book to new Marvel team book. Travis, they're bringing back the Fantastic Four.
Amazing. How long has it been gone? That's ridiculous.
No, Travis, fantastic, not amazing. That's a different character.
Oh.
Yeah. So what? That's how many years has it been? 2, 3 since we've had a Fantastic Four book?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But this will be written by Dan Slott with art by Sarah Pichelli, which I don't know if you were familiar with Sarah Pichelli's work, Travis, but she's amazing.
Yeah.
I would probably buy the book just for that.
I don't know if I'm there for that, but yeah, I am I'm definitely curious about the book. Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought I'd be more excited about it coming back. Um, I because I would like to read a decent. I have not read the Hickman run of Fantastic Four, so I'd like to read a decent Fantastic Four. I've read some of Silver Surfer, which Dan Slott just recently read. It felt like it was like an homage to like Doctor Who type stuff. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just, what are we gonna get? I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. So what version of the Fantastic Four are we going to get here? Is it going to be maybe the original concept where they're explorers, they're scientists, and they have these adventures, or are we going to be getting more, I don't know, superhero-ish fare? I don't know. It's hard to say with Dan Slott, and given what he did with Silver Surfer, and I don't know. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like Dan Slott. They don't like what he's done with Spider-Man. Whereas I can't really say too much about his take on Peter Parker. His Superior Spider-Man run, I got all those, and I really love that series. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm curious. I'll be checking it out for sure. And Damien adds that the current Marvel 2-in-1, I think it's a miniseries, is really heating up. Good stuff. And so he was rooting for Chip Zdarsky to be on Fantastic Four, and he's not sure if Slott will be good or not. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at with that.
Right. Well, it is kind of weird just because I haven't read the 2-in-1, but I've heard people talk, like Damien and other people talk about how good it is and stuff, and it feels like Chip is doing all the work to build them to coming back, and then Slott's going to reap the rewards of Chip doing the work. I don't know. To me, it seems weird. It seems weird from, I don't know, from an editorial political standpoint that Slott's getting to write. Is that how they got him off Amazing Spider-Man? Is to give him, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird. I surprisingly that, like I said, that it's, for everything I've heard, that they're not letting Zdarsky do the Fantastic Four book. Maybe he didn't want it. Maybe that's too much. I don't know, but it surprises me because it would be the natural. It seems to me to be the natural progression. Yeah. As much as people are liking this, or maybe it's just a fluke that people are liking this, and it never was the intention of that. They just kind of gave him something to, else to do. I don't know.
Well, yeah, the whole Marvel 2-in-1. While I like the concept
because
of it,
Chip is a exclusive. I mean, he signed an exclusive with Marvel just like last month or something.
Right.
So why isn't he doing Fantastic Four then? I don't know.
Yeah. But the whole idea of the 2-in-1, which I'm not reading. I was kind of waiting to see, because I haven't made up my mind about Chip as far as his writing chops.
Yeah, right.
And although I've heard that, what's he on? Spectacular Spider-Man? I've heard that's really good. I hear that Marvel 2-in-1 is really good. Yeah. So I was gonna pick up the 2-in-1 in trade when it came out, and then I guess kind of make up my mind about his work. But so if like Damien's saying that it's or you said, I don't remember what which one who made the connection, but making having the Fantastic Four be revitalized as it is in 2-in-1, and then carrying that over into a new book. That's really cool. I like that synergy that these the corporate comics companies have, where one set of creators builds up this enthusiasm, and then another set comes on and tries to do the same thing, and it just continues and continues. And that's why I read superhero comics, is I like that. I like these different interpretations. I like to experience these new visions. Not all of them, of course. land with me, and that's okay.
Right.
We don't, it doesn't have to be the same stuff. I don't have to react the same way, and it's fine that I step away from a book and I come back to it. That's the nature of comics, at least for me right now.
Yeah.
And Damien adds, not only will the 2-in-1 make a great trade, that Zdarsky is just beginning to come into his own as a writer, and that's kind of that's the gist of what I'm getting based on the buzz I've been reading and hearing about. So, if he's as good as everybody's saying, I'm really looking forward to experiencing this. Mm-hmm. Speaking of different creative teams coming onto books, Travis, I put this on here specifically for you. The Birds of Prey, former Birds of Prey writers, Julie and Shauna Benson, are coming to Green Arrow.
Right.
How excited are you about this news?
I'm interested. I haven't been collecting Green Arrow for a little bit, which I know surprised you when I had told you that. Great artists were on the book for Green Arrow in the past. I get bored with Percy as a writer, what the stories he wants to tell. So I kind of, fell off the book for a while. But I'm really curious to see what the ladies are going to do on the book. I'm excited about it. I read this last run of Birds of Prey for a while. I ended up dropping it just because of the volume of books that I was collecting. And there were what I would consider either new creator mistakes on it, because the Benson sisters are new to comics. This is the first comic they've ever written, was Birds of Prey. But I really feel like that largely it's editorial made mistakes through it. There be inconsistencies. The wrong word balloons on the wrong people talking, and that sort of stuff, which to me, that's editorial. That's pure editorial. That's their job, is to catch that stuff. And so I ended up, that was a good enough reason for me to drop it, because I needed to drop some books and whatnot. I like the Benson sisters, though. I love listening to them talk about stuff and whatnot. I've seen them in a couple panels at cons and whatnot and enjoy them. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing. I like their take with those ladies on the Birds of Prey. Clearly, Black Canary will continue to be around in the Green Arrow book. So I'm just really curious to see what they do with with Ollie. And lately in the Green Arrow book, he is unapologetically a social justice warrior. I mean, he just wears that as a huge badge. And in the current climate, that tickles me pink anyway. And so I hope they continue. I hope they continue to do that. And I'm really curious to see what they're going to do. Unfortunately, they knew they were doing it when I talked to them at Emerald City Comic Con, but they were told they could not talk about what the new book was that they were coming to do. Because I would have liked to have asked, questions, because I had plenty of opportunity just to stand with them at their table and shoot the breeze. So,
wait. So you talked to the Benson sisters?
Yeah. Unless you're like a star writer, you go to the cons, right? And if the writers are in Artist Alley, their tables tend to be a lot more quiet than like the artists.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just sitting around, they're sitting next to Doc Shanner and Mitch Geralds. And so, yeah, you can just sit there and, I stopped by and talked to them a couple times.
Okay.
Trying to get out of them what the new thing they were on. And I wondered, because we knew that they were doing the Green Arrow annual. And so I wondered if they were going to be going forward.
Look at you, Mr. Batman.
Yes, but they kept telling me that Dan DiDio told them that they could not say anything until WonderCon. So,
wow, I'm you bastard. I'm so jealous of you right now. I've listened to several podcasts, mostly on comic. I think it's just exclusively in Comic Geek Speak, where they've interviewed the Benson sisters, and they are just delightful.
Yeah.
They're sisters, and so they have this interesting dynamic between them and their witty repartee, and I really like them, and so I'm really jealous that you got to talk to them.
Yeah. No, so like I said, I'm excited to see what they're doing. I think they're only going to get better. Like I said, I had some criticism of the Birds of Prey, and I kind of felt bad about it, because I was grumbling about. I because I don't do the douchebaggy tag creators in my Twitter when I'm making a comment. I was just commenting the fact that, oh, hey, look, there's another every issue of Birds of Prey for the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 issues. There was always something that was like out of continuity, or the wrong people were talking, or a person would be one place and then the next panel they'd be like physically someplace else, and you're like, how can that possibly be, kind of a thing. And so I was commenting on it, and they're like, I just kind of offhandedly comment, oh, this is wrong or whatever, and suddenly I get these messages from them. Well, what's wrong? What page was that and whatnot? And they're like,
wow.
And I felt bad. I'm like, because I don't want to be one of those, I want to be able to talk about it, and if I don't like something, say I don't like it, but at the same time, I don't want to make creators feel bad that I'm like, I wasn't picking on, I was just saying, gee,
you're not bashing them. You're just,
right.
you're offering a fair criticism of the
like
work
I said,
that you're reading.
Like I said, I was not tagging them in it because I think that's the crappiest thing to do in the world. But like, yeah, they were paying attention. So something made me a lot more conscientious about what I was saying after that point. So, but no, they're cool. They're cool. Like I said, I think they're just gonna get better as time goes along. So,
well, I'll tell you, I'm unlike you, my friend. I'm not the biggest Green Arrow fan.
Yeah,
but them coming to the book, it makes me really curious, and I probably will be picking up some of those issues. If I don't, I'll definitely be bugging you for your impressions, sure. and then seeing how things go. But like I said, they're a delight to listen to on, as I said, on Comic Geek Speak, and I try to support people I think are really cool, and I think they're really cool. So I wish them well in this new endeavor, and hope that they can continue contributing to this lovely universe of superheroes that we love.
Well, and I also think it's cool that in the current social climate that we've got ladies writing a dude book. So
yeah,
there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more of that.
Yeah.
So,
well, there need to be more women, more minority voices in comics in general. So I'm fully supportive of that idea. Okay. Back to Marvel, Travis. Because I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, you read some of the Marvel Knights stuff back in the day, didn't you? Or am I thinking of the noir stuff that they did?
I have picked up little bits and pieces of Marvel Knights, but I did not read it back in the day.
Okay. Well, I mentioned this because apparently it's the 20th anniversary of the Marvel Knights Initiative.
See, I couldn't have read that. I'm not that old.
Of course.
Yes.
The beard does not make you look a day over.
Yeah.
So anyway, to commemorate this 20th anniversary of Marvel Knights, which I missed too, except for Bendis's Daredevil run in trade. So I totally missed all of the ongoing series as they were published monthly, but I started getting stuff in trade. And because like I said, because of the 20th anniversary, they're doing these definitive trade collections that are coming this fall. And besides the Daredevil, there's Punisher. There, all the Marvel Knights stuff. There were a few that I wanted to highlight because of the people behind them. And Fantastic Four is one of those. And I guess I didn't realize this. Morrison and Lee, it says. I should have looked at the article more closely that I read. I'm not sure which Lee we're talking about here. I assume we're talking about Grant Morrison. Is there another Morrison in comics that we would know about? But so if this is Grant Morrison, which I assume it is, I did not know he did a Fantastic Four run.
Me neither. Yeah.
And so I have to get that. If that's Grant Morrison, I must buy it. There's a Black Widow by Grayson and Rucka. I assume that's Devin Grayson. So
right.
Wow.
I'll be picking that up because I didn't realize Rucka did a Black Widow book. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and then finally, I've read most of these, but the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, the color a series that they did,
Right.
Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, and Captain America White.
Right.
So they're coming out with an omnibus of all those, and oh my God, those are great.
Yeah.
I actually haven't read the Hulk Gray. I haven't read it, but I've read all the others, and they're just phenomenal, phenomenal comics.
It's an omnibus. That's going to be.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to worry about it because I got them, but in trade. But yeah. And remember, Travis, you can read any of these anytime you want. Just let me know.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to buy the omnibus unless you really want it for your
yeah, that would look pretty nice on the shelf. So
right? Yeah, I'm really curious how that's going to look as a collection. So yeah, but there's some I assume good works that, you know, new to me,
right?
Stuff that I haven't read and by creators that I really, really enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to picking those up when they come out this fall. Next on my list here is I put this on the list again to get your reaction, Travis. So we know that Astro City is ending its monthly run.
Yes.
52, which I thought that was curious.
Next month. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I put it on here because that was the final issue was pushed back a month. And so it's, what'd you say? What'd you just say? It's coming out when?
Oh, so it must not be next month. I didn't realize it was pushed back a month. So
yeah.
So what, June then is when it's coming?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just this week, issue number 51 came out. I mean, I just read it yesterday. So yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's coming to an end. And I just wanted because you've been getting that, right? You've been reading the whole time that since it came to DC?
I briefly jumped off for a while. So I'm missing like, I don't know, 6 months worth of issues, I think, right in the middle. But I read most of it in singles. Yeah.
And so what, besides that, what is your relationship with Astro City in general?
I've read a lot of your trades. and here's the thing. I'd read some of your trades, excited about the book and whatnot. I remember when the first Emerald City Comic-Con we went to, there was a Wildstorm panel and Kurt was there. And I mean, I didn't really know who he was. I mean, I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't really know who he was. Kind of a thing. I didn't put the correlation between all the books that he'd worked on. And it was coming to Wildstorm. Astro City is coming to Wildstorm. And I was all pumped. I'm like, I'm getting on this. When it comes out for Wildstorm, I'm getting on it. And then what? 6 months later, Wildstorm gets canned. They take Wildstorm out, and then it's like, well, now it's in works to be Vertigo. And that took a long time for it to get, and quite frankly, sometimes the creators that are on the book, they have stuff going on in their personal lives, health issues and stuff like that, which slows the book down too. So it took a long time for it to get to Vertigo, for them to sign the right kind of deal, because I think they still own all their rights. They're one of those few Vertigo books where they are in possession of everything. Whereas lots of times with a Vertigo book, it's kind of billed as being a creator book, but that it's not. They don't have control of their media rights until X amount of time goes by, kind of a thing. So I think that it took a while to pound out the deal that they as creators wanted. But anyway, so I like reading the book in trades. I'm a singles fan. I mean, really, that is my preference for most stuff. But with Kurt Busiek, as I say his last name,
Busiek.
I think he is a talented enough writer and thinks things through enough that with this going to original graphic novels, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it because I think he's going to write it as knowing that he has, I don't know, however many 120, how many pages is in a you know, and so instead of writing, because you know, when you write for, even though you're writing for a trade, you know, when you're writing singles, you have to have a beginning and an end to some degree to each issue. There has to be some sort of a cliffhanger to make you somewhat excited to pick up the next issue, right? And so when you read a trade, it has this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I feel like that when he goes to write original graphic novel, he's going to take that whole space to tell whatever story, whatever he wants to tell. So it's going to read differently. I think it's going to read more like a novel as opposed to a 20-page hit, a 20-page hit, a 20-page hit. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm deluding myself. Maybe that's not how he'll write it, but I just feel like that he's conscious of that kind of stuff enough that he's good. That's how it's going to be. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to read something that's taking a long haul. I mean, that is something about some manga, what little bit that I've read that I've enjoyed, is that you could clearly tell that they understood that they had 300 pages to tell something in, as opposed to I'm telling it in 20-page or 22-page increments. It's a different read.
Yeah, the pacing's different. The plotting's different. Yeah, everything is a little bit different. Yeah.
I mean, I will miss getting these little, what feels like
Astro City hits every month.
Little Astro City hits, because lots of times a lot of his stories work really well as that single issue, just a little brief window into the city that's Astro City, and the people and the heroes and the villains and all the stuff that's there. That's going to be missed. That's going to be a bummer. So we're not going to get those little things, I don't think. But I'm excited for what the big story might be.
Yeah. Mostly, I just wanted to see your reaction to the news that we're not going to get those monthly issues, and I'm very, very sad about that because that's been one of the strongest, most consistent storytelling superheroes tales that we've had coming out of any company. And the world of Astro City. If people haven't read Astro City, Kurt Busiek's and
Anderson.
Thank you, Brett Anderson, with beautiful Alex Ross covers. Astro City is just phenomenal. It's probably one of the best superhero titles out there ever. I put it up there with just about anything in terms of quality, consistency, and creativity. And it would be sorely missed in the small doses that we've been getting, but to see trades that we'll be getting, I think will take it to new and different heights of storytelling. And I cannot wait for that first trade. And I hope to God that they are successful enough that they will continue to do multiple trade stories of Astro City. So
right. Do you think any of this? I mean, just to kind of look at the cynical side of it, right? They got picked up for a TV deal, right? Or movie or something.
Yes, it's in development.
So do you think that has some play in? Oh, let's lay off doing singles because this way we can. Because he's working on it. He's writing the pilot.
Yeah, just in terms of his involvement because he's busy with this adaptation.
Yeah, well, it just seems like, and like I said, this is the cynical comic book reader in me who loves comic books over other mediums. It just seems like when independent books get picked up for movies or television or whatever, something happens to the production of the comic that I love.
Yeah.
Whether we ever see the book or not, it just seems like there's quite a few, some of them, kudos to some of them, the creators, go on through and finish what they want to do. But then other books seem to suddenly get cut short, or they just quit, or I don't know. So part of me wonders how much of that was part of the decision. I mean, they say it's now we don't have to worry about our deadlines. We can just, create the books we want to create and the timeline that we want to create them in. That makes me worried that, it may be 3 years before we see the second, origin graphic novel. The first one, I think we're going to see relatively soonish, but after that, I think it's going to, God knows,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully, we get a steady stream of Astro City trades. Yeah.
Right.
That's always the hope.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Okay, we have a few more things on my list here, Travis. If we still have time, we're not doing too bad. We've only been talking for a little less than an hour and a half so far,
That's good for us.
which is good for us. Yeah. All right. Just real quick, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl artist Erica Henderson is leaving for some creator-owned work to be announced.
Yep.
Soon. I don't know. I did not check after I put that in there to see if that announcement has actually been announced. I don't read Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I know a lot of people think it's a great comic, and the fact and just to clarify, the book's not ending. Just the artist is moving on, which that makes me think this is the cynic in me, Travis, that it's probably going to be canceled soon, perhaps, because I know the Erica Henderson's contributions to it is in large part why it's successful.
Well, isn't the writer going too?
I don't know that. Possibly, I did not see that.
Remember. Well, it feels like when I sat on the panel for Marvel, I don't know. It seemed maybe not. I don't. Maybe I'm mixing up the artist with the writer as far as who was leaving and whatnot. I don't read the book either, but I hear wonderful things about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the people who love it. So
yeah,
and it's embraced by a market that a lot of other comic books don't get embraced by. So as far as the youth and that sort of thing. So
yeah. So yeah, I whatever Miss Henderson is going to move on to, I wish.
But that's a lot of issues. I mean, it's been around a long time.
Yeah,
it's
survived when a lot of other not similar books, but maybe thematically similar. I don't know. Other I want to say niche books. I haven't. So
right. So so I could see as an artist at some point you're gonna want to just go do something else.
Yeah.
So.
Or, that's why you take breaks. That's the one. I'm just going to throw this in here. That's one of the things I like about a lot of the creator-owned books that I read, mostly through Image. I'm thinking of Saga. I'm thinking of Lazarus, where they plan breaks in so that the artist can have a break or recharge, however you want to put it.
Right.
And I, as a reader, we were just talking about how we like getting our Astro City fix month in and month out. I'm also fine with having these small breaks in between storylines or runs of the singles, so that we get more from this creative team in the long run. And for so, sure. We talk about it in terms mostly of artists, because they do the lion's share of
right. They're doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, definitely the heavy lifting. But I apply that to any of the people that are working on the book, the writers and colorists and letterers and inkers. They all, it's like what we, I'm not equating what we do with the people that we talk about all the time on our shows. But even I have to sometimes take a break, even though I'm just talking about someone else's work. I have to take a break and because I don't want to be doing the same thing, or not or maybe looking at things differently or contemplating things a little differently. So I have to take breaks, mostly because life gets in my way, but real life gets in my way.
Yeah.
But I'm all for that. In other words, so I said a lot of words to say I'm all for artists and others taking breaks so that they continue to provide me with the entertainment that I so richly deserve. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. A couple more things, and we'll get to some C2E2 news. And then a final thought that Travis and I were anxious to talk about today. So still on Marvel here, Travis. There's a couple things that Marvel's doing, or three things I have listed here. I want to get your take on. And so Marvel is going to do dual numbering, at least for now, on some of their books, so that they get their number one issue, but they're keeping the old numbering that they reintroduced under the Marvel Legacy initiative. So you're going to have, and they're doing it for people like us, longtime readers who want to put these books in order in their boxes, I guess. That's one point that I read online about this. You know, so you're going to have an issue number 1, and will also be number 522 or something, whatever it is, right? So I just, what do you think about this dual numbering thing, Travis? It just seems really, I don't know, kind of silly on both sides of the idea.
Well, I think it's become kind of a joke since the whole legacy thing kicked in, to be quite honest, where, we're going back to the old numbering. We all went, okay, cool. You know, those of us who were collecting the stuff prior to that and liked those big numbers and, whatever. And then when the stuff started coming out, suddenly there were books coming out that how could they be on number 100 or whatever when there was never that many, and they're counting these, they're going through and listing all these weird books to get them to some fictitious large number. Well, if you inflate the number, that's just as phony and dumb if the number matters as not having just left it alone. So the dual numbers is funny and just as confusing, I think, in the grand scheme of things. If that number matters, they easily could have put it on the inside. When you look at down at the bottom when it lists this is volume whatever, they could just put whatever they wanted to there if you were that person that needs to have it all in order. And I get that from a collecting standpoint. If you're going to go back and collect it after the fact, it might be confusing to figure out what run is part of what run. But since when do the big two care about collecting after the fact? They don't get any money out of that. So I don't know why they're catering to that. It doesn't make any, from a business stance, why would they cater to that? Because so what? So what if you go to buy that comic out of the dollar bin? They've already gotten their money. They don't care one way or the other how that's listed. So I don't know. I mean, whatever. I'm getting to the point now, the numbering used to matter to me. It used to matter. I've gotten to the point now, it's been so messed up that now I do not care. As long as I understand as I'm buying what it is I'm buying, there's some way to identify it. I don't care. I mean, part of that's because I've also gotten used to like Dark Horse. A lot of their comics will be, they'll title it, Hellboy in Hell, and you'll get 10 or whatever issues. Then it'll be Hellboy, in Mexico. And on the cover, it says it's number 1 or whatever. If you open it up on the inside it says that it's number 150 in a series. So if you want to, you can open it up on the inside and look and see this is the order it all needs to go in. But on the outside, we're putting it out as, this is the story. Right now he's in hell. Right now he's in Mexico. And as each of those stories, it's 1 through whatever during those times. And that's how it was for like BPRD when I first started collecting it. Then it went to when it got to 100, it went solid numbers then until they basically destroyed the Hellboy universe. And now it's gone back to being like mini series. But if you open up and look on the inside, it's the numbering is still continuing. So I don't know. I mean, there was some confusion for me when some of the Marvel books were going along, and I think it was the second Marvel Now, not the first Marvel Now thing they did, but the second Marvel Now, because they did Marvel Now twice. Some books, like you'd be reading the middle of the book and of the series, like Miss Marvel would be on like a issue 15, and there'd be a huge, red number 1 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when Marvel Now was starting, but it was still issue 15. But that number 1, I'm sure attracted people who are looking for number 1s or whatever, or a new story or a new arc to get into. But I actually missed ordering some comics because I was looking at the covers and went, "Oh, that must be something different. I don't want that."
Ah.
And like I missed some Doctor Strange because of the way it was listed, and I missed it, even though it was just the series continuing on. So that's my only whatever.
I remember, speaking of that whole Marvel Now #1 but not really #1 thing.
Uh-huh.
I remember Jonathan Hickman specifically during one of the books he was writing at Marvel, uh, where they had announced this new #1,
Hmm.
and he came out afterward and said, no, it's not new, it's not a new thing. I'm continuing the story I've been telling through however many issues it was. It's just like, it was really interesting to see Hickman coming out and saying, you know Marvel's hype machine is wrong about this. It's not
Right.
it's not a jumping on point, in other words.
Hmm.
So anyway, okay, two things. Wait, there were two things I was going to say. I was going to ask you. I'm only remembering one now. Okay, first of all, did they? Is there really a Hellboy in Mexico? Or are you just using that as an example?
There is.
Oh,
There is.
seriously, okay.
I don't think it's actually titled Hellboy in Mexico. It's, but it has to. He spent some time in the 50s. He
Yeah.
spent some time in Mexico, and it's. I refer to that because I can't remember the exact
Right. Okay.
what
Okay.
it is, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So the other thing was, Marvel is essentially following Dark Horse's lead. Then it sounds like in this whole dual numbering thing.
Yeah,
And,
except both numbers aren't on the cover, but yeah.
right. Right. But it's a
I
similar.
want. How is that going to read? I mean, is it literally going to say #1? Is it going to say Avengers #1, and then it's going to say 956 or whatever Avengers? I have no idea.
That's my understanding. What one number will be? I could be wrong about this, but as I recall, one number will be more prominent than another.
And who gets the numbering on things like X-Men? How does that work? When there's X-Men Gold, Blue, Tangerine, whatever. How
Tangerine.
how do there's some books I just don't understand how they're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
it numbered.
Like you, I'm like you. I don't really care about the numbering anymore
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I used to, but I don't anymore. It's gotten.
Okay, so like I said, there were a few things on this theme that I'm going for with this particular item. I just found out recently that the Ultimate Universe. So I guess in the Spider-Man 2 limited series, the reveal. See, I got to back up. So in Secret Wars, the Ultimate Universe, Marvel's Ultimate Universe, apparently was destroyed, which is why we got some characters from that universe into the main Marvel universe. Miles Morales being like one of the primary ones, right? But then apparently they did a Spider-Man 2 miniseries, and it was revealed that the Ultimate Universe is back. And so Siri on my phone just for some reason went crazy on me. Where was I going with this? So Ultimate Universe is back. And then also with the new Marvel, what do they call them? Their most recent relaunch? Fresh start. Yes. Spider-Man's coming back, or the black suit is coming back to Spider-Man. And so now this is where the we're curmudgeons. That's what I'm trying to say. That aspect of us being old, longtime readers. We're not old. I refuse to believe that. Longtime readers, we've seen like the black suited Spider-Man, the whole numbering thing, stopping a large number to go to #1s and back again, and just all the cyclical stuff that we have going on in comics. It's like, Travis, am I just my lack of enthusiasm for these things that keep coming back? Is it just because I'm getting old and crotchety, or
you've seen it all before? Yeah.
it's just like, I don't get excited about this kind of stuff. We've seen Spider-Man. I mean, we were there when Spider-Man, the black suit first appeared.
Blew my mind.
And,
yes.
And everyone was like crazy about this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then he came, it went away for a while, and it came back. It's just, it just Spider-Man, it's like Batman's insignia on his chest. It changes over time. It's like, it's no big deal, really.
Right.
It's just why I know why. I know that, I know the answer to why, but why do Marvel, why does DC keep coming back to these wells, and how is it just because there are always new readers, and so these concepts potentially are new to them, and so maybe the new Marvel reader who doesn't know that history yet, that's an exciting thing for them now, right? Where like with us 30 years ago, 30 something years ago, it was exciting then. It's just that, you know, we're just old and jaded.
You've read too many comics.
That's really what it is, right?
I mean, let's be truthful. That's some of what it is. I mean, because like you're talking about, we were there for when it, like this, specifically the Spider-Man suit. We were there the first time it happened. We were there the first time Secret Wars happened. We were there the first time Crisis happened. You see what I'm saying? So it was a big deal. And we've been here all this time since those things happened. And so you have enough history to go, okay, I've seen that before. I think some of it is fanboys are writing the comics that they read when they were kids.
Right.
And they want to, that's the stuff they love. So that's the stuff that they want to write. You know, sometimes it's the creators' fault because it's what they want to write because it was so awesome when they were a kid. They want to go back and capture that or whatever. I mean, I think sometimes that's some of Jeff Johns' problem is
Yes.
that, I mean, he's the golden boy.
Say that.
Stuff, but at the same time, oh my God, you got to move past it too, kind of a thing. You know, because we've been around that long to have read it, you know. But there's new people who haven't, so it's all new, it's all exciting to them. I mean, for when the New 52 from the DC happened, me and you were kind of bitter and what the hell's going on. Tons of new readers came in because it was new and exciting. I mean, you know, so some of it's that, some of it's the fact we've been reading as long as we have. Some of it is, like I said, the fanboys are now writing it, so they want to go back and readdress it. Some of it is it's cheaper to continue to use the old ideas than it is to try and figure out something new. This is safe. This is safe. It worked last time. Let's just keep working it over and over again.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't think there's a simple, it's this or the other. I have to admit a lot of it, I kind of go, oh, okay, that's, you know, that's old. What are you doing with it? Why would you bring back the black suit? I mean, ultimately the black suit is it's Venom, right? I mean, you know, I mean, as ultimately what the suit ended up becoming, which I don't like Venom, but anyway, that's a whole different. But I mean, I think that's some of it. I think it's funny they destroyed the Ultimate Universe and so quickly are bringing it back.
Yeah, exactly. That's like I said. I mentioned how things are cyclical, but that just happened within the last couple years.
Yeah.
Why return to that well so soon?
Because you want to tell stories that you can't comfortably tell within the regular Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's a way to explain it being out of continuity without having to have some little box down there saying this happened in some nebulous time in the Marvel universe because everybody's concerned about continuity. So, yeah.
And Damien just chimed in on the chat. I feel Marvel leans so heavily on the past that it's mostly that lazy way to get buzz. Maybe.
Well, it is to some degree. Because, you know, like people who are like getting into Marvel, maybe they haven't read the original Secret Wars, weren't around, you know, when that came out or whatnot, don't have access or haven't bothered access, but they hear there's this new Secret Wars that's coming out. Well, they've heard from the old time readers, you know, us gatekeepers, that it's that the original Secret Wars was this, you know, big, cool, whatever that it was. So you want to get on board with it. So, I mean, that's why they keep recycling the same adjectives, right? For Marvel. How many different books have been Uncanny now? Has there been an Uncanny Fantastic Four? Because there's been an Uncanny Avengers, and besides the Uncanny X. Do you see what I'm saying? So they move all that around because it's new, but it's not new at the same time. It's new and familiar. So even us old time fans, oh, there's a new Secret Wars. Well, hopefully it's something new. It's a new Secret Wars, but at the same time, it's familiar because we know Secret Wars, right? I don't know. I wasn't excited about it because I liked the first Secret Wars. When the second Secret Wars came out, it wasn't as good because it really felt like they were.
No. Travis is wrong about this, folks. The second Secret Wars by Hickman was fantastic.
Okay.
and 10 times better than the original Secret Wars.
Maybe I need to go back and
I
read
will
it.
fight you on this.
Okay, maybe I need to go back and read it because I remember at the time not digging it near as much as what the original one.
That's fair. That's fair. You're still wrong, but it's fair.
Okay, cool. it's a cross I'm willing to bear.
All right. All right. Hey, before I move on, Travis, I have a request from George asking maybe we could talk about why you and I, well, it says why you love Bendis, because I'm not sure that you love Bendis as much as I love Bendis. So much because I'm not a fan and I know I'm in the minority. I'm guessing his name will come up in Superman news today. What? So we talked about the Bendis stuff a little bit last episode.
I don't think he's in the minority.
Well, okay.
I think there's as many of us who aren't fans as there are fans. I hear just as an anecdotal, because clearly I'm not like can't take a poll of the comic reading universe and whatnot. I think there are there's maybe not haters, because I don't hate Bendis, but I'm not excited by Bendis either. I'm curious about him doing doing this new stuff, but I'm not like, hot damn, Bendis is coming to DC. DC is just gonna be, the shit now. I know that's not, that's not the case. So yeah. I don't know if he really hates Bendis, but I know plenty of people who are not excited for. Here come the talking heads.
Okay. Fair criticism there on that particular point. Yes.
Okay. So I don't, like I said, I don't know that. I don't feel like those of us who are not excited by Bendis are in the minority. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, but I'm not excited by it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we talked about this last episode, last Breaking Late News episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited as hell, but anyway, okay. So I just want to make sure we address George's question there. Sure. Since we're talking about Bendis, this is a good segue to this. So with Bendis coming, along with that, not because of Bendis coming, but along with that, we found out that the Red Trunks are back with Superman, right? In Action Comics number 1000, right? So not to be outdone by the Man of Steel, the rest of the heroes of the DC universe, I think, demanded that they get their old Trunks back, right, Travis? And so
that's what I hear.
So DC released a promo image of this, and I'm for the people watching the video, I'm going to share this on my screen, so people who are listening to this in the audio version, though, I will try to remember to put a link in there so you can go to this. But so here is what DC put out. Hopefully this will show up. Are you seeing this, Travis?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's an image of many of the members of the Justice League saying, "We've got your trunks. You've got white trunks on Green Lantern, these yellow lightning bordered trunks on Flash. Wonder Woman's in here, but she's not. I guess she is wearing trunks. It's just the way that they're drawn, they look kind of loose on her. Right. Like it's still a skirt. So that's kind of weird. Batman's got his blue trunks back. And then here's the oddballs, I thought, well, besides Green Lantern. Cyborg has these red trunks over his cyborg body, his silver cyborg body. But I guess that goes because he's got all the red in the lights and stuff on him.
Sure.
And then Aquaman this needs to be given an award for like worst costume concept ever. I don't know who drew this. It kind of looks like Jim Lee art, right?
It is. Yeah. I mean, that to me, it's that or Finch or something. Yeah.
That's just horrible. All the different colors in here. It's not good. Not good, Travis. So, not to be outdone, of course, DC and Marvel always have this good-natured rivalry going on, right? So, Marvel decided to release an image of their characters having some trunks. Are you ready for this, Travis? Have you seen this?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen this either. So, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Boom.
Nice. Now, see, I appreciate those trunks.
Of course, I'm joking. This is an old photo or an old picture I found. Having these
That's awesome.
I'm sorry. Unprofessional to laugh uncontrollably like this, but it's got Wolverine. I'm describing it for the audio people, but Wolverine, the Thing, Beast, and Hulk in boxer shorts in these trunks. So I just thought that was funny. Totally a joke. You know, both of these. The DC thing was an April Fool's joke, of course, and I just thought it would be funny to have a corresponding Marvel picture. So there you go.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Here we're back. I just thought that was really funny. Okay. We're in the home stretch, folks, which is good because we're almost at 2 hours. Okay. Final two things. Some C2E2 news, which, Travis, I know, just like WonderCon, there wasn't a whole lot coming out of either con that caught my attention. There's really only two things that I saw out of C2E2 that I wanted to talk about. So if there's something else that you happen to have seen, please chime in. First of all, continuing our Marvel news. So I thought that's really interesting that Marvel's doing this. So Marvel New Media, I'm not sure what that is in reference to. Marvel New Media, is that a department or something? I don't know. But it said Marvel New Media announced an all-new schedule of digital series featuring a variety of programming for both diehard and casual Marvel fans. These new digital series include relaunched versions of its continuing popular shows, such as This Week in Marvel, which I used to listen to, and Women of Marvel, which I have not. And new series like Earth's Mightiest Show, Marvel's Voices, Marvel's Eat the Universe, and Marvel's first ever scripted podcast called Wolverine: The Long Night. So they're really just jumping in both feet, both arms, whole body into this podcasting arena, which, well, I'm sure that all of these are videos too, but I was very impressed. You know, like I said, I used to listen to one of the podcasts that they had, and now they're just multiplying them by, you know, like 5 or 6 here. And so I just thought that was really cool that they're doing that. I wish we'd had more of that from other publishers, not just DC, but and maybe there are things like that from other publishers. I'm just not aware of them. So if people are aware of that kind of stuff, I mean, obviously I can Google it, but it'd be nice to get some recommendations from people who are aware of these things. But Travis, I know you're not a big podcast listener, right?
Right.
Yeah. So this news probably is like, so what to you?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, I don't know how much of it I'll give it all of it an initial listen, just out of curiosity to see what it is. I mean, I would bet that it doesn't last very long, but most of the time when they do these kinds of pushes, it's a temporary kind of a thing. You know, it's somebody's kind of like pet project, and when that person moves on to doing something else, then those projects disappear. But no, I mean, it's cool. I think it's cool if they're branching out to anything that gives us like more information or exposes us to something else about either the universe or the people who are making said universe. That's cool. I mean, I'm all for that kind of stuff, and them doing their own production. I'm even more interested in, because I'm hoping it's going to be something different. Because like if you the news sites, the quote unquote comic book news sites that are out there and stuff, if they get like a interview with these people, it's the same. You know what I mean? We get the same product from a dozen different places. So I'm hoping that means this is something different. That this is, they're going to take the time to give us something that's, I don't know what, but something different that's out there. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, but in particular, I wanted to ask you about this, the idea of this, the scripted podcast, the Wolverine one. So
Mhm.
we're getting this
I saw
character.
an ad for that. The latest in the Marvel book I just read this weekend.
Oh, okay. So
There's actually an ad for it in there.
okay, good, good. So I don't know. So this is another way to experience new stories
Mhm.
for your favorite Marvel characters. I assume they'll do more than just Wolverine. If they get I'm guessing, just like anything else, if they get the numbers that they
Right.
like with this Wolverine podcast, then they'll branch out to other ones. And I also find it curious that they started with Wolverine as opposed to some other Marvel character. It's not. I mean, it's not a stretch. Wolverine's been one of the most popular Marvel characters over the last 2 decades,
At least, yeah.
at least maybe three. We could even arguably say 3 decades,
Mhm.
because Wolverine was just starting to ascend that popularity mountain, the juggernaut that he became right as we were coming into
Right.
comics. Because he was a supporting player in the X-Men book back then. And maybe supporting is downplaying a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and those first miniseries from Miller were coming out.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I listen to a lot of, most of my entertainment these days is instead of watching CW superhero TV shows, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and not just comic book ones, but and there's a few scripted podcasts that I listen to, and they're a lot of fun, and to have a superhero scripted one, um, I'm definitely going to check that out. I definitely want to listen to the Women of Marvel, excuse me. Not so much the Eat the Universe, because that is, I read about this one, Travis. This is bringing in people that work at Marvel or work for Marvel and others, I think, and they talk about they cook while they talk.
So where's the dollar value in this?
How do you monetize podcasting? I don't know. I think that anybody who's in this business as a form of business are still trying to figure that out.
Because that's the other part. How much are they going to put into it? They paying somebody to write a Wolverine script.
Right.
Where's their return on investment?
Yeah. And so with non comic book podcasts, there's advertising just like you see on broadcast television and other places, radio, obviously.
So is that they're considered their return is that I'm going to listen to a Wolverine podcast and be more excited about Wolverine and therefore pick up Wolverine because he's being resurrected?
Good question. Like I said, I'm gonna check this out and maybe come back and talk about this. Just because I'm really curious what this is, how it's defined, how it progresses. And I'm just generally curious. Being in the media myself, or the medium, I should say, myself. I'm just really curious how they're going to address this or how they're going to develop it. Going forward. So interesting stuff. And I wish, like I said, other publishers would do it as well. And then finally, the only thing Travis, just to give a little bit of backstory here, I was sitting having lunch. Yes, I was having lunch with my girls yesterday, and I was done eating. They were not. I was just sitting there talking with them, and I was also checking out Twitter and seeing what was coming out in terms of news from C2E2. And I see this announcement. Someone retweeted this, and I literally yelled out in excitement about this. Like, yes. And what it was about was that the announcement, I think it was from the Batman panel at C2E2, that Joelle Jones will be writing and drawing a new Catwoman comic with Laura Allred on colors.
Yes.
Are you as excited as me about this?
Well, kind of been since we saw her do the first Catwoman pages for Batman. It's kind of like She just needs to have her own book, so we can look at her wonderful art. If nothing else, I really dig Lady Killers, which is a book that
Yes.
that I think the first volume is Jody Belair did the colors, and I think on the second volume it was Allred. Maybe it was Allred for both. I can't remember. It seems like the colorist was different. Not that it matters. Awesome book. I love that. That from Dark Horse was excellent. Gorgeous artwork. Everything about it is great. So her doing a full Catwoman book. I like Catwoman. I like the Catwoman character. I've been waiting for a new series to come back. I'm kind of thinking it was going to happen sometime because of this whole, wedding stuff that's going on with Batman. Perfect person to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All the way around. She's got, Jones seems to have great sensibilities herself about stuff, how she addresses art, the stuff she puts on the page. She has a fashion and interior design background, I believe.
Okay, that explains a lot then.
Which is why some of her stuff looks the way it does and whatnot. If you've seen the issue yet of the wedding dress or seen the cover of the wedding dress that she designed for Catwoman, it's going to be gorgeous. Now, I say all that. I've also heard the pitch is there's somebody else in Gotham running around as Catwoman, and she needs to figure out, and committing crimes, and she needs to figure out who is and stop her or whatever. To me, that sounds like a plot line I've heard and read before or whatever. So so that doesn't excite me. If this was like, I don't know, some average person doing the art and some average person writing it, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll probably check it out because it's Catwoman, but I'm not, that story doesn't excite me. But the creator on the book, I am just super, super excited.
Right. And so when I saw that, I focused on the fact that I know her primarily as, well, no, I don't. I guess I don't. I think of her as an artist, but she's not. She is.
Right.
She is an all-around storyteller. She like you said, Lady Killer. There's 2 volumes of Lady Killer. She did Helheim, right?
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, that's the first place I'd heard her work. Was it?
Yes, exactly. That's Helheim was the first time I encountered her work as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've also, I guess maybe I'm thinking of her collaborations with Jamie Rich,
right?
That she has done. 12 Reasons Why I Love You, I think, is one of them. And then there was one just recently that came out that I got, and it was another 10th anniversary edition of these books. And so, I think of her, she's the artist on that. She's not the writer, but she has written and drawn a lot of stuff in recent years. And so I don't know why I think of her as an artist first for some reason. Anyway, when I saw that announcement, I'm like, she's doing a monthly book in the DC Playground. And I started to say, when I did that exclamation, Madison looked at me and like, what's going on? And so I start to say, I explained that Joelle Jones is doing the Catwoman book, and I started to say, and I don't care who's writing it, and then I realized that the actual announcement was that she's writing and drawing it. So it's like,
right,
no brainer here for me.
Yeah.
So I'm Catwoman's actually, unlike you, Catwoman's not one of those characters that I've been particularly enamored with as a leading character on a book. So I've never been excited about that, but I've heard that there have been really great runs on solo Catwoman books over the years. In fact, I have a trade of
Brubaker,
Darwin Cook on the work, doing the art on the title,
and Brubaker writing.
Probably Brubaker, yeah.
That
I haven't read yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was like the big news for me coming out of C2E2 so far.
Yeah,
and I didn't really find much of anything else. It was just dribbles and drabs and not all that engaging kind of news.
And Jamie Rich is taking over as being the Batman editor, and
and considering his history with Joelle Jones,
Right. Well, and
Life
he was the
lessons.
right. Well, and he's the editor for Tom King's Mr. Miracle, for Sheriff of Babylon. So it's like he's going with the creators that he works with quite a bit, kind of a thing. I think that Jolene Jones on those Batman books is largely because of I think Rich helped bring that in.
Mhm.
Kudos to him. So he's now Batman editor, and Tim Todd Doyle. I know it's Doyle. Not sure first name. He's gone back to being the Vertigo editor, and he's the Black Label editor also. I think he is doing. I think he's slowly taking over the Young Animals stuff too, which originally was a Jamie Rich thing also.
Oh, right. Mhm.
Because when and I wasn't sure, and there wasn't time at the con to ask when I was at the Vertigo panel. They talked about the Young Animals stuff, and it sounded like he was in charge of it because he's the one that was the MC of the Vertigo panel. So for whatever reason, that stuff shifted around and whatnot. So I always think it's interesting to find out who is in charge of the Batman universe, because the Batman universe seems to be the biggest selling part of the DC universe, and so it kind of pulls and pushes the rest of the universe where it's going. So it's always curious to see who's in charge of that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it influences everything else to some degree. So not huge news, but things that I'm always curious about from a what's going on in the background kind of thing. But yes, the Catwoman news is huge. Super excited for that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that you are as excited as I am about it. So okay. All right. So that's the bulk of the news I wanted to touch on with you, Travis. We do have one more topic that we were discussing before we went live. This is not. It's sort of news. It's not really news, but it's more of a contemplative area, perhaps. So I over the last, I don't know, several days, maybe within the last week, I've been seeing things on Twitter, people commenting about this, people posting. And so I wanted to get your take on it, your thoughts about this. So there have been, let me preface this by saying there have been a lot of 99-cent digital sales on Marvel trades through Comixology and Amazon. If you buy through them, I know Amazon owns Comixology, but you can buy one or the other. Like me, I've done that in the past. I don't have my Comixology account connected to my Amazon account, so I've got two things I read on Comixology, and I got things I read on the Kindle app because of that. But anyway, they've been doing this for weeks and weeks. And some people, I've noticed, people who worked on some of those books, some people just commenting about it in general, talking about how, they don't make a lot of money on those 99-cent. I mean, this is a trade. We're talking about 5 or 6 or more.
Yeah, not a single issue. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they're being sold for $1. And there's some speculation out there about why Amazon is doing this. Maybe I don't know if I'm addressing a conspiracy theory or if it's something more substantive than that, substantial, whatever, than that. But like they're trying to somehow drive Marvel Unlimited away, and I guess I don't know. That aside, what I really wanted to ask you about, Travis, was, what do you think about these creators not getting their due, not getting their slice of the pie when Marvel, Marvel has said that they don't have anything to do with the sales. That's Amazon, which is probably technically true, but I can only imagine that Marvel, if they wanted to, could put a stop to it. So what's what first of all, what is your take on? I know longtime listeners of this show with Travis know that he's not a fan of digital comics.
No.
So that aside,
But
uh,
99-cent trades, that makes digital sound pretty good.
right?
To be quite honest, I mean, like I said, I do not like. There's, I mean, anybody who's listened to the show before or listens to me talk knows there's a million reasons why I am not a fan of digital digital comics. But all of those grumblings aside, at 99 cents for 120, 160 pages worth of material, that is damn hard to beat. That is
Right.
damn hard to beat from a purely financial. I want to read as much as I can for as little as I can, and still be honestly buying the product. That's
So okay, so really the heart of this, Travis, that I want to get to is how much. So knowing, there's so many different layers to this, right? There's us, the reader.
right.
We want to buy the things as cheaply as we can, so we
Sure.
can get them.
Mhm.
But then there's the aspect which is beyond us, that the creators aren't getting their slice of the pie.
Well, see, that's part of the problem. Part of the problem with us discussing this, as much as I love discussing it, we don't know. I don't anyway know how are they paid on digital sales. And the other thing we don't know is how is Marvel paid on digital sales. So when because I'm assuming Marvel is selling their product to Amazon. And I don't know how that works. If it's like Netflix, where Netflix is buying X amount of downloads of a movie, and once it hits that, they either have to pay the company more to have more downloads, or it gets taken off Netflix. So I don't know how that works for Marvel. When Marvel sells a digital copy here, and here's the whole digital problem. When they sell a digital copy to Amazon, I don't know what they're getting out of it. Or does Amazon have a open pipeline to sell as many as they want to, and X number of dollars, pennies, or whatever is going to Marvel, and then Marvel is dividing those dollars or pennies up amongst the people who are responsible for the content. I don't know how that. I mean, I don't know how that part of it works. When they sign when an artist signs a contract to do Marvel work in this age of digital work, how much they paid for anyway. So are they getting a percentage on whatever is sold? So clearly at 99 cents, they're getting ripped off, or are they getting a flat? I don't know how that works. So,
so one of the things I want to bring up is that one person on Twitter I saw was commenting about one of that person's books, I believe, and I took it to mean the response was, and I took it to mean sarcastically, is that they were making like a fraction of what they they were getting a percentage, but they were making pennies, if that, on that one sale.
So what do they normally make, though? That's my question. I mean, I can see complaining about it because it's there and it's what's happening, but are they always just getting pennies on it? I have no idea.
True. Yeah. Of course, we don't know these things, but what I was really curious about and wanted to get your thoughts on was, how much responsibility do we as buyers have to help maintain the health of this medium that we love so much? So if we're constantly only buying things at 99 cents, say, and not $15.99 or whatever the price is for a trade for example, right? So someone's not getting, and granted, what you were talking about just a second ago, that may be part of it there, right? Or I'm sure it's part of it. We don't know what Marvel's, or DC for that matter, any company selling that bulk of the file that they provide, that digital file. We don't know that, right? But just in really simplistic terms, and that's probably the issue with this conversation, is it's very simplistic. But do we have a responsibility to help with that, to not buy things at that low price. And I'm not just talking about digital comics, because
You're right.
you and
Well,
I,
it's just like that. It's like, well, I mean, that goes. You can have the same conversation about trade waiters versus single issues, right?
exactly. Mm-hmm.
We're trying to keep comic books alive, and if you don't have the single issue sales, there is no trade. Are we? I don't know. That's like that's a very personal decision, I think, as far as how you want to consume. If something's on sale, I see nothing wrong with buying it on sale. Clearly, I use Discount Comic Book Service. Discount Comic Book Service gives me 35 to 50% off everything I buy.
Right.
So I don't support a local store. My local store is dicey, but anyway, even if they weren't, I don't support a local store because I haven't found a local store that's going to give me the same sorts of discounts on books. I mean, I don't know when I'm getting it at that discount, I don't know who's getting their cut and who's not getting their cut.
Right.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this whole thing is I've started seeing store owners, because I guess there was a Marvel retail meeting before
the retailer Chicago summit.
Right. And the brick and mortar retailers were going, what's going on with this? Why are you doing this to us? Because
referring to the 99-cent digital sales.
Right. Who's going to walk in and spend $14 to $20 on a trade in my store when for 99 cents they could get the dang thing, digitally.
Right.
And nobody at that summit, which is about retail, could answer the question. They were there to hype their stuff, but could not answer a retail question. And so retailers, I have now seen at least 8 stores, not that I don't know how, what that means in the grand scheme of things, have said, we have canceled all of our Marvel purchases for at least trades until this is answered and corrected, because I can't compete. I will use that shelf space there's plenty of other companies that want to sell books. I will use that shelf space to sell their books instead. Can those retailers afford to do that? I'm not sure. But how can they afford to put something on their shelves that they know down the street or basically on my phone, I can, because we as consumers are always going to look for the best price.
Right.
That's why wouldn't we do that? I mean, I work hard for my dollars. Why would I want to get my dollars to go as far as they can? So how much responsibility do I have ultimately to the creator? I don't know. And I say I don't know because I know that when I'm dealing with the big two, at least, it's this corporation. And ultimately, what is the creator getting out of that? I mean, they get a steady paycheck. I understand that's one of the perks to working for the corporate entity, as opposed to, I feel more responsible as a consumer for independent stuff where I know the creators own the rights to and all of that kind of stuff than I do to corporate comics.
Okay, but on that, so let's apply this 99-cent thing. That's because it's just an easy target, right?
Sure.
If you feel that connection or perhaps responsibility towards creator-owned work, do you feel like you shouldn't buy a trade? Let's say a Saga trade for 99 cents as opposed to spending more money on it. Because that they have. Say that again.
I still buy it at 99 cents because I believe that they have control over that. They're making some sort of an informed choice as creators because they own the rights to it. They're making the choice to sell it at 99 cents. I'm assuming that's why that first trade of almost all Image books are cheaper than hell. Why would you buy the first volume of Saga in singles if you know for half the price you can buy the physical trade?
You're talking about the $10 trades that they normally have been doing?
Yeah.
So but there is some criticism there too, I know, that I've read from people that publish through Image, and saying, that the $10 trade is a great means of getting the comic out there for people at an affordable price for people to be introduced to the work.
Right.
But I've read criticism of that from some creators because they're not I
I
guess
think
not
that's
making enough on it or something.
I think that's short-sighted on their part.
Perhaps.
But anyway, I believe, and this may be my naivety about the whole thing, that if the creator-owned stuff is being sold at a lower price, they are having an informed choice in that being sold at the lower price.
Assuming they do have control over it, because I come back to the you know what Marvel is saying about Amazon. Maybe they don't have a say in what Amazon, Amazon buys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And they don't. I mean, and that's if Amazon wants to. If Amazon's buying X number of downloads, like I said, they're buying 1 million downloads of the first trade of Avengers,
right?
And they paid Marvel X amount of money for that thing. And if Amazon wanted to break even, they needed to sell that trade at $5 for them to break even, let's say. And Amazon chooses to sell it for less than that. That's their right as any store to sell it at a loss. Then you have to question, why are they selling at a loss? And that's when you start drifting into the potential conspiracy theories about this is how they're going to blow up Marvel Unlimited, because Marvel Unlimited is direct competition to their sales of Marvel stuff. I hear people all the time say, why should I buy that now there when I can wait a few more months and it's going to be Marvel Unlimited, where I pay a flat rate fee for the year and I can read everything I want to. There is a certain amount of sense there. Why would I spend the $75.99, whatever it is, for the Marvel Unlimited in a year if I'm reading full trades for 99 cents and just reading what I want to, instead of digging through a bunch of crap I don't want to read? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty sexy sounding conspiracy theory. I kind of like the way it sounds. So, there's lots of businesses that do that, that do wholesale, and they can afford to sell it at a cheaper rate because they're wholesale. That's how Amazon works in general. You find lots of stuff there cheaper than in your brick and mortar store because they're selling it by the millions as opposed to selling it by what they have sitting in their store.
Right.
For us locally, Costco works the same way. They buy in bulk, therefore they can sell it at a cheaper rate. So I'm assuming that's what Amazon's doing.
Yeah.
And Marvel doesn't want to admit to it, that they got some deal, and I don't know, but they can sell it at I work for a business that sells things at a particular rate. That doesn't mean that somebody else can't buy that same product from us and then choose to sell it for less somewhere else. My company got their money out of it, so we don't care what you sell it for down the road. If you want to sell it for half the price to attract customers to come to your store to buy that product and hopefully buy something else, cool. We don't care because we already got our money out of it. So if that's what Marvel's done, and Marvel's not sharing what their original lump was that they got for it, then shame on them that they're screwing the creators by giving them a cut of what the other company's selling it for as opposed to what Marvel sold it for. And maybe they don't know. I don't know how much creators really know what their digital sales are. Maybe they're getting the cut of whatever Marvel sold it to Amazon for, and they don't realize that's what that's for. But why would Marvel sell it to them for that cheap? Why would Marvel do that? Sell it, sell them the rights to sell that at 99 cents.
Well, yeah, there's just so many layers to this. And the whole business side of comics is just obviously something that we're totally ignorant
but of. I don't feel like me as a consumer should be guilty if I can find a good price on something that's legal. I don't think that I should feel guilty for buying.
Okay.
Because we all do that. Those creators are not going, I'm going to go find the most expensive version of whatever it is I'm interested in consuming that I can find. They don't do that either. I don't, maybe that makes me morally bankrupt. I don't think it does. I just think that means
it makes you a good capitalist.
I'm an informed consumer like everybody else. Exactly.
I just, like I said, there's so many different layers to this. We don't obviously have insider knowledge of any of it. I just thought it was an interesting conversation that was going on that I saw on Twitter and other places where, we talk about, I've said it many times on my own show, support your local comic shop. And I actually have a local comic shop that I do not patron because of how I was treated in years past.
Poor
And
service.
so I've been getting comics from DCBS at that 35 to 50% or sometimes more
Mhm.
discount. And so I'm not supporting my local comic shop. I'm supporting another comic shop that is back east
Exactly.
from me, and I'm getting a good deal on these books. I wouldn't be able to read as many comics as I do if I did not buy from that service.
Mhm.
And I am very guilty of buying 99-cent trades from Amazon in the past, or $1.99 usually, but I wait for Comixology and Amazon digital sales to read stuff that I was curious about but did not want to put down even $1.80 for a $2.99 comic, or two something,
239.
235,
Yeah,
230, yeah,
239.
239 for a $3.99 comic, right?
Mhm.
So I wait, and like I said, like I called you, I'm a good capitalist and
Mhm.
getting the best deal that I can. But it just the whole idea of not necessarily the Marvel Unlimited conspiracy, but just the idea of if we don't continue to buy comics at a reasonable price,
Mhm.
then people aren't buying comics, and they're it's just that horrible
Well, right. I
recurring
mean,
loop
right. Is
of
this helping?
things not. Yeah,
Yeah.
are we hastening the demise of this industry by only buying cheap comics?
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting
And
question.
well, and I've certainly, I mean, I've done entire videos where I talk about the fact that as the price of comics go up and everybody grumbles about it and whatnot, um, I think people need to get paid. And so I don't have a problem with comics getting more expensive because everybody wants to get paid. You want to get paid for the work you do. And so, everybody's walking around buying their, $5, Starbucks coffee that's gone. You haven't drank in an hour at the longest, right? And it's gone. You never enjoy it ever again. Versus a $4 or $5 comic that you can read a million times, kind of a thing. I'm it's a complicated kind of a
Yeah.
thing. It's not easy because, like I said, I want those people all to get paid and whatnot. I don't want to have to pay any more than I have to either. But I think these people who are creating this stuff that has entertained me for 30 plus years deserve to be comfortable living, doing the work they're doing too. I don't believe that if suddenly comic books were $1 a comic, that suddenly there'd be millions more sold. I don't believe it.
And why do you think that is? Because Jen just asked that question is
Oh yeah.
if they sold things more cheaply, would they sell more? And she uses the
Right. The new
the
DC Nation book
yeah.
that's 25 cents has sold 1 million some odd copies. I just don't think they would. I think there'd be some excitement initially, and then I think it would be no. I don't know. I don't think the expense of comics is what is keeping comics from selling more comics. I don't think so. Because I think that if comics were $1, that doesn't suddenly make kids who are ages 13 through 16 or whatever suddenly walk into a comic book store and buy comic books.
But let me ask you this: if they were $1,
I'd buy more.
Okay, well there you go. Just say, if they were $1, would you be more enticed to buy them from a brick and mortar store locally as opposed to, or would you still get the 35% discount?
I can still get a 35 to 50% discount, so I'm buying them for 50 cents. I could buy more comics than there'd be any way physically possible for me to read in a month, and I'd be tickled pink doing that.
Yeah.
To be honest, because we are
cheap bastards is what
we're in a
boils down to,
and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't know. I say that, but if I had a good brick and mortar store, I'd buy them locally if they were that kind of price. I just see the thing is cheaper comics make those of us who've been in comics for a long time buy more comics. I think. I don't know. I don't know that that's. I don't think the expense of comics is what keeps. I don't think it's what keeps people out of comics. I know there are people who say, "Oh, I'm a starving college student and I pirate all of my comics. And if they were cheaper, I'd read them." My ass. If they were $1, you'd still be pirating them. The people who are pirating them, they wouldn't suddenly.
Yeah.
So I don't see it. I don't see that being the. I mean, yes, everybody who is currently reading comics is going to rush out and read a 25-cent comic from DC Comics. Even if you don't really care, that's just too cheap to walk away from.
But doesn't that prove the point though? If they were cheaper, then I mean, you just said that DC Nation, new DC Nation thing sold over 1 million copies, and it's because it's 25 cents.
But I don't think it would. I think if all the comics are that way, I don't think it would last.
No, I don't disagree with that point, but you know, obviously 25 cents is not the price point that is going to do it. But more people theoretically, based on this anecdotal evidence, or not even anecdotal, but they would buy more copies of it.
I don't know. So you're going to run the risk of. I mean, you're going to run the idea of you're going to sell that many is going to make the same amount of money. Because, okay, so this is going to look great for DC because DC on all the charts is going to show that they sold 1 million of something, right?
But they're not making anything.
So, DC is kicking ass because they blah, blah, blah. But did they make money on that?
No. You know? Yeah, this is a loss leader. For sure.
So I don't know. I mean, yes, it would be nice for comics to be cheaper or to quit going up by another $1 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know though.
Yeah, it's a complicated question, but I just wanted to.
The economics of it, I don't believe that you know, if comics were $1 cheaper, there would be some more reading, but I don't think it would be significant to make up the difference in who took a cut and pay for it to be that $1 cheaper.
Yeah,
I mean, I do know economics wise. Listening to people talk about the Image books where they're the ones that are collecting X amount of money once the book reaches a certain point, you know, Image gets their cut, and then that the difference between that $2.99 comic for most of these creators and a $3.99 comic is the difference between they can make a living doing their own comic and selling 6,000 to 12,000 you know, issues a month versus they can't do it. You know, they're lucky if they can make the first trade, and then they can't afford it. There's books like Saga, which have maintained being $2.99 the entire time because it has the sales. You know, it took off and it maintains the sales that Fiona Staples can live comfortably on, you know, on that price, and they don't have to increase the price.
Right, and so,
but it's the exception. It's the exception to the rule.
Right, but it is a valid point though that it can be done. Granted, $2.99 is not a huge difference, you know, between a $3.99 book, but we see that it can be done, and it's just a matter of each company determining what is a comfort level for them, right? Mm-hmm. Now, granted, Marvel and DC, just from overhead alone, needs to sell more books at a certain price to pay the bills,
right?
Whereas a creator-owned book, it could just be one person, two people, a few, you know, just a few people.
Right.
And aside from the distribution aspect of it for Image, they can probably negotiate better that price point for their books. So it's just, like I said, I keep saying this, it's a really complex and interesting line of thinking that I wanted to bring up with you. And obviously we don't have the answers, nor do we have all of the information to be informed enough to really talk about this, but I just wanted to bring it up because it seems to be the buzz right now. One of the buzzes anyway on Twitter and other places that I look for my comic news and just kind of the zeitgeist of comics. So
yeah, the one more thing I want to say about that is with the 99-cent trade for the retail stores, that's the big risk I see. I see less concern with the creators and how much is going in their pocket versus if there's no outlets, if there's nobody selling these books anymore, what happens to what happens to our favorite entertainment and whatnot, I guess is where is my thought is
Mm-hmm.
that how do I mean, supposedly they have the stuff set up to where the brick and mortar stores were relatively comfortable with the digital books because they weren't being horrifically undercut. You know, the occasional sale or whatever, cool. But the massive amount that this is, they can't compete with that. And if they can't compete, how do they stay in business? So
yeah. And then I think we can put this one to bed for this month, Travis. But before we do, Jen says, I think people who do buy books at a local comic shop would definitely buy more books if they were cheaper. And yeah, of course.
Sure. But you have to sell more then. You have to sell more than because you're not getting so volume versus what are you actually putting in your pocket? Because at the end of the day, it's for everybody, it's about what goes in their pocket. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that because I think we could just go on and on this particular topic. But I'll be following this, and if we have any updates for future editions of Breaking News, we'll bring them back maybe to talk about. But hopefully we'll have some more interesting things to discuss as well because the news doesn't stop when this podcast ends, as they say. So I want to thank because we've been talking now over 2 hours, Travis. So I think it's time to get out of here.
Yes.
And so I want to thank Damien and Jen especially for their comments in the chat and the fine viewers and listeners of this particular episode. But before we go, Travis, remind people where they can watch your videos.
On YouTube, just type in Oddfellows Thoughts and you'll find me. Don't just type in just Oddfellows because you're going to get a semi-secret society and all their craziness, which is its own fun. But Oddfellows Thoughts, yeah.
Oddfellows Thoughts. Of course, I always have a link in the show notes for whenever Travis is on here, so you can always go to that and click on a link. And if you have comments about this particular episode, if you think we're either me or Travis or both of us are crazy for our thoughts on the pricing of comics and who gets the cut of what, and conspiracy theories and our takes on the news that we've discussed this time, you can leave comments below on YouTube. This will also be posted at my website, longboxreview.com. Or you can email me at longboxreview@gmail.com. Or finally, you can also, I'm giving too many choices, I think, maybe, Travis. You can message me on Twitter at longboxreview. So with that, thank you, Travis.
Hey, always a time. Pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening in the future. So with that, I leave you all and go read some comics. Have some fun. Bye-bye.